Hello, everyone. I'm going to try one more incorporating some of the feedback I've gotten so far. One is raise the camera so there's eye contact somehow. Two is shave your beard, you look awful. Three is try to be a little more upbeat and try to not make it so long. So, without further ado, I'm going to just make this 5 minutes of Teddy so that it doesn't become something that could ironically or accurately be called TED Talks and Talks and Talks and Talks, which was a title possibility. Um, 5 minutes. Let me set the timer right now so we can all see it, and then I'll just vamp some things. 5 minutes. Stopwatch. Five. Um, Alarm. 11:05. It's 11:05. So 11:10. Okay, guys. So sorry for involving you in my process here in um, defiance of the objectives of brevity. So, okay, I'll I just jot down a few touchstones. One, my appointment was canceled in Brooklyn. I was going to go see a doctor. A doctor happened to be Russian. The Russian doctor had to cancel. I felt a certain kind of relief, um, um, uh, even though I have to find out what's going on. I decided to celebrate said relief. She was sick. Celebrate said relief by going to get a haircut, beard trim, etc. Try to affirm, take care of, one of the criticisms was I looked awful. Another one was that I, wasn't looking in the eye. So went to do that, ended up having a conversation with the barber who happened to be Russian. And while we were talking, um, um, they were the two Russian guys were discussing which TV channel to watch, CNN or Fox, and and they were saying stuff, and I didn't know where they stood on the matter, but they asked me what I felt or thought. They said, what do you think is going to happen today? And I said, oh, you mean with Trump's arraignment and all that stuff? And they said, yeah. And they said, what do you think about CNN versus Fox and all that? So I just said, well, I think CNN is better than Fox. Fox is just awful and propagandistic and trying to destroy humanity, and it's basically an enemy of all people, even the people that think it's in their interest. But basically, I was thinking that the media is the message, and if the media is the message, the media is we're fucked, because the message is rather that we're fucked because all of it gravitates with inherent normalization and complicity with the existing structures, powers, narratives, etc. At least in the short term, as history tries desperately to move on from something. If history has any agency or telos or anything, it's arguably trying to move on from this. But the media as messages, no, we're fucked. So be it, Overton window, etc., etc. I didn't talk about all that with them, but I did say, like, look, my gut sense is, because I figured I'd be honest, what do I have to lose? I said, I think that it'll go fine. I think he's a coward. I think that there's no real risk of a huge insurrection, because I think all of his followers are ultimately cowards too, and they'll buckle once they're punched in the face, and they may have an uprising, and they'll get crushed like bugs and then crawl back under a rock and try again at some point. But I'm not intimidated by that. And I said, like, I'm a little guy. And so when I was growing up, I was, exposed to a lot of bullies, and I started to understand how bullies work. And basically, if you stand up to a bully, they buckle. And they're all bullies, the guys who are motivating this. And I said, I wouldn't presume to say anything about Putin or your country or anything, but I assume it's somehow similar dynamics. And he said, yes, he agrees with that, agrees with everything I'm saying. I said, fine, I won't tell your leaders that you feel that way. And then when I walked out, I realized that after the heads, the close shave and this manly talk about standing up to bullies, I realized I was wearing this hat. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's accidentally I picked up instead of my black beanie, I picked up the wrong one. I think it was probably from my mother or something when we were together. But anyway, it made me laugh when I had it on. I said, you know what? So what? In a funny way, that's kind of even more badass. Like to say you're standing up to bullies while wearing a pom pom hat on your bald head with your shaved beard and your manly talk about Russia and cowardice and manliness and confrontation of power and the destiny of man and so forth. Perfidy, peril, what have you. Okay, so that's that. Then I figured I'd say something about the Hegel last night. I only have 2 more minutes. See, this is probably good to have this imperative. 2 more minutes. Hegel last night, Bagel, in his honor to try to pander. Last night, okay, that I started a minute late, so I'll go 1 minute. Last night was really kind of interesting talk because it was really about the way the ground condition relation as the as the ultimate determinations of essence as reflection through shine, which is the concept of something reflecting in itself against others, but not yet existing. It's still in an essential form that is pre-existence. It's the dialectic by which that opposition of ground and condition collapses. And in that collapse, what emerges is something he calls the fact, which is the first moment of existence, of essence appearing as existence or proto-existence. And that gets further determined through the logics of presupposition and positing that are determinative of essence in general. But the big rift in the group was between those who saw that as just kind of another dialectical pulling of the rabbit out of the hat, and the people who saw it as like a holy shit fiat lux moment of, oh my god, he's evolved the form of existence, of actual existence, from out of the dialectic of the categories of essence, which are essentially categories of logic and thought. Essence logical thought, which he brought into an ontological moment where they now determine a kind of concrete existence. And I'm kind of more of the camp that's kind of mind-blowing, even if it is just the apotheosis of a rabbit out of a Hegelian hat. But so be it, and way more on that later, perhaps. With regard to hoops, I think it's kind of cool that Wiggins is coming back for the Warriors, so maybe they'll be minimally interesting as they get trounced in the first round by whomever they're playing, unless they reach some new, catch fire and create some synergistic, amazing new chemistry down the home stretch and become a totally different team, and et cetera, et cetera. I'm trying to keep to my thing. It's been about 5.5, 6 minutes. Peace. Let me know if there's any better, and build on it, destroy from it, build, tear down, build up, end, abort, whatever. Okay, peace.